So this is my Canyon Aeroad CF SLX. I believe it's a 2018 or 2019 frame. It's actually an ex-Canyon DHB, if you remember the British Continental team. Anyway, I've had this 2 or 3 years. It's my crit race, road race bike, chain gang bike, that sort of thing. However, over the last few months, I've actually made quite a few changes to it spec-wise, and not changes for the better performance-wise. I know the YouTube thing to do is, oh, I've upgraded this and that, but I've actually made a couple of downgrades on this bike. I'm going to explain to you what they are and why. So firstly, I'm just going to start with the contact points of the road. The tyres. Now last year I rode this with Corsa Speeds on, Vittoria Corsa Speed tyres. Now they are notoriously fast time trial tyres, not the best for crit racing and for road racing, which is what I was doing predominantly on this bike, but the out and out speed like tempted me to put them on. I did have a couple of like scares last year on crit circuits where I nearly stacked it and so on, and maybe it was the tyres, maybe it was just because it was damp or my handling, whatever. I've gone from 23mm Vittoria Corsa Speeds to 25mm Continental GP 5000 TTs, so slightly slower but still a fairly fast tyre, a bit more robust. I want to ride this bike a lot more in chain gangs and in road races, not to worry about punctures as often. I think I'd be better off with these tyres. The next downgrade is the cockpit, and I never actually got around to fitting the upgrade, so I'm still classing it as a downgrade, but I never actually fitted it. So I did order some new super narrow flared carbon integrated bars, bar and stem sort of thing. In my mind, I thought, well, yeah, every little makes a difference, which it does. It would have been like 28cm hood to hood, and I'm a fan of all that, but I've currently got the Canyon cockpit on here. These are 41cm bars, center to center. I've got my shifters tilted slightly in. I'm a big guy, I don't need to be super narrow, and I just reflected on that, and the bars hadn't actually arrived anyway, so I have now had a refund on those, so I'm going to be keeping these on here. I think that isn't the difference between me winning a bike race and not. Me fitness level is the difference, and if I'm going to be using this bike more often on normal club rides and so on, it is a bit more comfy for me. I find around the 38 to 40cm bar width range is where I'm most comfiest. I haven't tested like a 30cm width, and I just don't think I'm going to be doing that anymore. The next downgrade, again, something isn't fitted, but you can see it's quite obvious. There are no pedals on this bike. Last year I used the Wahoo Speedplay Power Link pedals, whatever they're called. Now I had an issue with them, and Wahoo have since replaced them, but I've not used them. And the main reason I haven't used them is just because of the additional faff that these present. I mostly use Shimano pedals on my other bikes now, so having a different cleat system means I have to have a different pair of shoes, which isn't a problem until you turn up at the race with the wrong pair of shoes. I have found that Speedplay cleats and pedals are a little bit harder to maintain. They get rusty very quickly. You have to lube them. It's like another thing to have to do. They are easier to clip into in terms of finding that cleat position, but actually getting engaged and getting the click is quite difficult. And when you're trying to set off on a crit race or a triathlon, those sorts of things, I do prefer just being able to clip in easier into a Look or Shimano pedal. It just feels easier to do. So for that reason, I will be running normal road pedals on this bike. I'm going to get some power pedals for it in road version, but I will be using normal pedals, not Speedplay pedals. And I guess the other downgrade is one that you can't see, but it is the inner tubes. Now last year I used latex inner tubes. Yes, they're faster. Yes, they're supposed to feel a bit better when you're riding. If you can feel it or not, I don't really know. I have swapped these back to normal butyl inner tubes. Main reason being is I'm trying to ride this bike more often. I want to use it on more club rides, more group rides, more normal rides. And when you've got latex inner tubes, if you've got them, you'll know, they lose pressure very quickly. So in a couple of days, they've gone from 80 PSI to 40. So you have to pump them up. Whereas butyl inner tubes will hold the pressure for a couple of weeks, and when you're working and traveling and trying to get on your bike when you can, just that 5 minute, oh, the tyres aren't pumped up, I've got to go and find the track bump, put some more pressure in, really annoys me. So the fact these tyres hold a bit more pressure, or hold pressure for longer, is a big benefit to me. I think if I had some major goals on the road, I really wanted to do really well at crit races or road races, then I would look again at these little optimizations. But for the use that I want to use this for now, which is mostly club road riding and the odd race, I feel like it's a better setup. Now, I'm not completely throwing away performance, although I will be running a big bar bag and a GoPro on the front of the bike and probably the rear as well in races. I am still making sure my drivetrain is optimized. So this is a waxed chain and ceramic bearing jockey wheels. Now I am partnered with NRG chains. I do have a code for a race chain if you want one, but even if that wasn't to be the case, I would still use a waxed drivetrain. It keeps your drivetrain a lot cleaner, it's quieter, and it is faster. You see various numbers battered about, but it is fact that a waxed drivetrain is faster than a lubed drivetrain, but I'm mostly use it for the ease of use like this. I've ridden this for probably 300 or 400 miles now, haven't touched the drivetrain at all, and it still looks like brand new. So of course they do get mucky after a while, but I find that a big benefit, and the rainbow chains to me just look really good. So I'm not completely throwing away performance, but I am just cutting back in some areas. I will also be putting a second bottle cage on here as well for the longer club rides. So that in a nutshell are a few of my downgrades on this bike. I am taking this on a 3-day 100-mile-a-day back-to-back ride sort of trip in a few weeks, and I really want to use this bike because I really like it. I do find it comfy, but I've always shied away from using it on those things because of the fragile tyres and whatever else, and I think it's just a shame to be leaving such a nice bike inside the 10 months of the year. So I definitely want to try and use it more, get used to being in a more aggressive position more, and use this a bit more. So there we go, there's my downgrades. Have I completely messed up? Please do let me know in the comment section down below.